Good afternoon, everybody. Happy Monday to you on this September 15th, 2025. I got all your stories for your rush hour ride home. And boy, is there a lot to get into today. Some updates on the Emmys as the host, Nate Bargatze, eviscerated by Variety magazine. I'll share their thoughts on his gimmicks for last night's Emmys. I didn't watch the Emmys. I just saw some clips. I'm just so over award shows. Unless anyone wants to give me an award, in which case I'll show up. I'll be there. We're going to cover Taylor Swift. It is now being reported that the barrier that they used to hide her as she made her entrance at the Kansas City Chiefs game may have been a bulletproof barrier. It's a wild time to be alive, but of course she's one of the biggest, most famous people out there, and tensions are high. So we'll get into that story, and then more on Taylor Swift as lawyers react to her attorneys trying to kind of get out of the deposition in the Blake Lively, Justin Baldoni case. Then we've got Candace Owens, her thoughts on Charlie Kirk and the shooting that took place. She's full of conspiracies. Do any of them line up? It's going to be a pretty wild afternoon, I think, as she's teasing some tea being dropped. So we'll get into that. And then this war that may be breaking out between the United States and Venezuela as we continue to add more military to Puerto Rico. Again, insane out there. And then more on cancel culture as people are losing their jobs over opinions, not just opinions, sometimes flat out quoting, putting quotes out there, people losing their job over it. It's a pretty wild time. And I think it's worth discussing. You know, our channel, we talk a lot about free speech. We talk a lot about embracing that we're going to have different opinions. We talk about having grace for those that are coming to different conclusions and how we can fight less online. But I'm telling you what, those, the fact that people are losing their jobs over having an opinion is pretty wild. All right, all these stories and more, it all starts right now on The Rush. And then here it is, the Emmys' exciting wins overshadowed by an uninspiring host and countdown clock gimmick. I have to tell you, so they had this idea that they were going to, Nate Bargatze said, I'm going to donate $100,000 to the Boys and Girls Club of America, but only when the winner's speech is under 45 seconds. For every second above that, he's going to take $1,000 off, which as a bit, okay, fine, but for quality purposes, some people give long speeches and they're amazing. Some people give a nice long acceptance speech. I mean, that's why you watch those award shows, if you do, for the acceptance speeches. You're going to get some bad ones. They're going to get played off, but some people give really, really good speeches. And I think it's very rich for Nate Bargatze, a very, very wealthy comedian who actually, I believe, lives in the same town as I do here in Nashville. It is very rich to say, well, we're gonna dangle this money over your head, and if you don't do within the exact parameters of what we want, you're gonna be punished. I don't know, because then now you have people coming out saying, see, these Hollywood elites don't even care about the kids in the Boys and Girls Club because they couldn't keep their speech under 45 seconds, which I think is just a flawed premise. I think it probably leads to just a rushed, hectic, I don't know, just my thought. And it's like, Nate Bargatze, donate $200,000. Why don't you? You're rich. You know, you've had a very successful career. And I don't want to live in a world where we need to rely on a comedian to donate money to the Boys and Girls Clubs, right? I think they should be funded in part by all of our tax dollars. Clubs like that, so kids have a place that they can go to and not get into trouble after school. Just a thought, folks, just a thought. Okay, let's move it on from there. Because, look, I mean, Nate Bargatze, he said, and again, I actually tried to cover this on the morning episode and I cut it out because I think I said something that might have violated an NDA, but it's like, I understand he doesn't want to bring heavy politics into the award show, but there's a lot of crazy stuff out there. There's a lot of risk to people's First Amendment rights as people are getting fired for having the wrong opinions about certain things in situations that they shouldn't be fired in. And I know that doesn't always fit into the First Amendment per se, but I think running away from heavy conversations isn't meeting the moment. That's just how I feel. Obviously, you live in a nice mansion, you make millions of dollars, you don't have to worry about a lot of the issues that are out there, but I am here to worry about them with you guys. And again, I'll probably never get the chance to work on one of his shows now, but that's okay. All right, we'll get into the Taylor Swift stuff in a few minutes, but the Tinder swindler from Netflix is arrested again. Simon Leviev arrested again after Interpol red notice issued. He's the infamous Tinder swindler, convicted of scamming women out of millions on the dating app. Arrested again, according to his attorney. He was detained Sunday morning at Batumi International Airport, located near the Black Sea in the country of Georgia near Russia. So the Georgian Interior Ministry confirmed he was nabbed at the airport following the issue of a red notice. I don't know exactly what the red notice is for, but if we get any more information on this, we'll cover it. He rose to prominence after the subject of the 2022 Netflix documentary Tinder Swindler, which broke down how he connected with women on the app, pretending to be a Russian diamond heir, and swindled his conquests out of money. So again, he sounds like he deserves whatever's coming to him. The Diddy prosecutor, Maureen Comey, is suing the Trump administration, wants her job back. She's the daughter of James Comey, who, of course, has been battling Trump in the past, and he was the FBI director, and she claims in her documents that she wants her job back because she was canned unlawfully. Her firing was a violation of the separation of powers described in the U.S. Constitution. We will see how that all plays out. I have no idea if there's any merit to it, but I do like, if someone was fired for the wrong reasons, take them to court. Go for it. In other court celebrity news, Succession star Nicholas Braun says he's not guilty of a DUI. He was arrested last month for DUI, and I guess he's taken it to court. He authorized his attorney to enter a not guilty plea to the misdemeanor DUI charge facing after being arrested. Listen, in most cases when people get arrested for DUI, they were drunk, and there's still ways to get out of it, hire a lawyer and have the money to do all of that. I think there's such a simpler... I don't know. I mean, I don't know how, but you would think with technology out there, there's a simpler way to not start your car if you're above the legal limit. It's like and again, I don't know. Maybe he was, and I talk about personal rights, and maybe you shouldn't be able to have a cop pull you over and demand a breathalyzer. Like, I don't know. It doesn't feel like there's a better solution to this in the good Lord's year of 2025. I don't know what it is. All right, so we're going to get to the Taylor Swift stuff after. I wanted to read this comment. We've been talking a lot about spirituality, which I know it sounds heavy, but it doesn't have to be. It's this idea that you have to wear a cross in order to have this moral fiber. You see this play out. We've talked about Christian nationalism and sort of the hijacking that's happened in the political system where every single thing's culture war. You can't even have a Olympics opening ceremony without the star of Full House reprimanding us for, hating, Christianity, right? There's been this war on Christmas. God forbid someone says happy holidays. Everyone gets bent out of shape. So I was asked this question from a fellow parent in our audience, wondering as a parent, you are helping Augie how are you helping Augie, my son, understand spirituality? I don't know how to raise my daughter with a solid foundation for her spirituality so that she doesn't struggle like I struggled most of my life with what I really believe. I was just wondering if you had anything, thoughts or musings that might help. I hope you and your family are well. It's a great question. I cut off the first part, so I didn't share her name. And as far as how to raise my kid, I got a 16-month-old. I have no idea. What I'm going to do. But I think what I want to teach my son is values that can be applied to different situations. I don't want to say, don't do that, that's evil. I want to explain what love is, what positive energy is, how when we give positive energy to situations, to other people, to our community, that it comes back in spades, that the law of attraction, the way that we're bound, is all about living a good, happy life and understanding what that feels like on the inside, being a service to others, being available to do charity work. Things like that don't have to be necessarily religious, but they are the same common denominators in many different religions. Like I've said before, and this is why we were talking about it, I come from my parents who are Catholic, but in so many instances, I'm watching the church not even follow their own beliefs, when it comes to what we should be doing to help the poor, what should we be doing to help people that are in situations that aren't as privileged or as good as us. And so for me, how am I going to teach my son that? I think the only way I can teach my son those values is to put myself in situations and hold myself to the level where we practice what we preach. We do that on our channel with the Single Mom's Christmas wish list and things like that, but really find ways to help the community and help each other have the conversation that rises us. Not just a quick fix of dopamine, but really rises us to the occasion to be better versions of ourselves. That's worth more to me than whether or not somebody, didn't live up to whatever purity standards are in the quote unquote Bible. Does that make sense to folks out there? So how am I going to raise him? I'm going to be the best version of what I want him to be. I'm going to have to be that, which is scary because I want to be a lazy piece of shit too, It's a lot to think. I got a son that's watching me. Every once in a while I'll yawn and then he'll yawn. They are mirroring us. Our children are, our society is. We're all mirroring each other. So being brave enough to be the version of what you want your kid to be, that's how you do it, And I get it. We were all raised with the parents that says, well, you do as I say. Why? Because it's my roof and this and that. And it's like, I want my son to be curious when I tell him what to do something and why. And I want to teach him the values. So it's not just memorizing the lines, but understanding why they exist. So I don't have all the answers, but for those that'll stick around, I'll continue to talk about it, as we get there. But just saying, Jesus loved his neighbors, so you should too. I think there's a deeper conversation about why we do that, why we try to empathize with others, how we relate that to a kid who can't contextualize these words. I have no idea. But I think even having this conversation is definitely a good first step. All right, when we come back, Taylor Swift, shielded by bullets. What is this story? We're going to get to this right after a quick word from our sponsor. Today's episode of the Rush Hour Podcast is sponsored by Tropical Smoothie Cafe, one of my favorites. Ooh, are they delicious. Start your day with a protein-packed breakfast from Tropical Smoothie Cafe. Oh, you thought they only had delicious smoothie options? You're mistaken. Pair that smoothie with a toasted breakfast wrap, order ahead online, and earn rewards with the Tropical Smoothie Cafe app. Like to customize things? Add more good vibes to your smoothie. Fresh add-ins like almonds, spinach and kale, chia seeds, or supplements like protein and Energizer. My favorite smoothie is the Peanut Paradise, chock full of 22 grams of protein. My wife loves the mixed berry Greek yogurt bowl topped with fresh strawberries and blueberries, which comes with a whopping 26 grams of protein. Make every day a getaway with our bold flavors and better-for-you pairings only at Tropical Smoothie Cafe. Tropical Smoothie Cafe, you're on Tropic Time now. Now back to the show. It was suspected that this was the reason why she had this shield there. Sometimes you'll see a celebrity having an umbrella, as they walk out of a restaurant because they don't want to be photographed by paparazzi. But this clearly isn't the case because Taylor Swift for several years now has gone to, Travis Kelce's football games and waved politely to people. But of course, after the tragic news last week of the public execution from a sniper, from a rifle of Charlie Kirk, a horrific story, along with many other shootings that are horrific. But this one specifically was in people's face as it was live on camera. You're now seeing what is possibly here, Taylor Swift using a bulletproof shield to try, and again, she's got all the money in the world, but one pull of a trigger can end somebody's life in this senseless world. And rather than try to shore up every security issue that would be at a stadium, it looks as though maybe they've got this mobile thing on wheels just to prevent a mad person from doing the unthinkable. And you hate that this is the world we live in. But here's TMZ. We talked about this morning, but now that they're covering it as an actual article, according to fans, they think it was a bulletproof barrier. And as you can see here, bullet-resistant portable shields were used to evade detection. This is, the TMZ says, we did some digging. It seems the barrier used here is a bullet-resistant portable shield partition that retails for about $6,000. Again, can you imagine living this world? Now you say, well, she's got all the money and privilege out there, but just to even have to be thinking about portable barriers like this, just to get from the bathroom to the whatever, the VIP booth, it's a crazy time to be alive. On the second half of this episode today, we're going to talk a little bit more about the rising the escalation of violent rhetoric, the pointing fingers at who's right, who's wrong. It's absolutely silly that we have political leaders that are even trying to claim that half the country is responsible for what a mad person might do. But we'll get into that. I truly want to talk to my audience at the highest level of intellect, and I think you guys will respect that. This isn't a Larry the Cable Guy conversation. All respect to Dan Whitney, the comedian who plays Larry the Cable Guy. See, that's not his real name. But I'm not trying to dumb things down, get her done style. I'm not trying to dumb it down. I'm trying to have real conversations about where we go moving forward as a country, how we don't consume the evil, violent rhetoric that's meant to divide us, how we recognize that and say, you know what? Because that's how levels of enlightenment work, right? The lower levels are you just react to everything. You're defensive. Your ego gets in the way. Everyone's out to get you. The next level is, all right, well, everyone's trying the best with the information they have. I'm not going to get mad that you're giving road rage to me. I'm just going to, and then, eventually the highest levels of real enlightenment are just to avoid the drama altogether and say, you know what? I'm not going to fight with a stranger on Facebook. Okay. Why would I try to talk to some random person? Why would I try to even talk to my mom about issues that are divisive? Let's just, and you're not avoiding it for the sake of not being non-confrontational, just understanding, maybe you're not going to be changing people's point of views. So on our channel, the goal that I have is that we understand what's toxic, what conversations are a waste of our time versus what can be productive. So another Taylor Swift story that's going on here. We have creator, I think it's Bocce Go Hawks. I think that's the name of her account. She's discussing Taylor Swift with regard to Blake Lively. Here, Taylor Swift's legal team, we covered this, I believe, on Saturday. Her legal team has finally responded saying, we want nothing to do with this deposition. But this lawyer here has picked apart an interesting moment from that legal letter.
But it's this line. We take no role in those disputes. They're like, look, we're ready to do what we're supposed to do if we need to do it. I don't want to do it, but if I have to do it, I'll do it. Also, another reason that this is a good sign for Justin Baldoni is I really do think that Blake Lively thought she would have Taylor Swift, have her back. And the fact that they're saying she is not a material witness at all, that doesn't mean just for Wayfair. That means she is not a material witness for Blake.
Yeah, and imagine Taylor Swift being Blake Lively's best friend, having no text messages that could help out Blake Lively. And I think that's the key, is that there's little evidence from the time that Blake Lively accused Baldoni of harassment. There's little evidence from any text messages to her assistants, her agents, her union representatives, all of the people that exist to protect you on set. If I was on a movie set where someone was smoking indoors and it was causing me harm because I had to be in a scene with them, I'd be on the phone with my union reps. I'd have a logged complaint if they were not living up to the union regulations that exist out there. It doesn't mean you're going to ruffle feathers with the production company. You're going to let someone else defend you. And Blake just doesn't have that. She doesn't have it from an agent and a publicist, Ryan Reynolds, Taylor Swift, all of the people that would have been aware. I've made this comparison. When my wife was at work, if the air conditioning was too cold or whatever, she would let me know. It's freezing in here. You just, you know what I mean? You communicate that with your significant others in close circles. So the fact that Blake Lively doesn't have Taylor Swift as a material witness means she's got nothing. She's got absolutely nothing. Well, we have a lot of other stuff to get to today. So on the second half of the episode, we're going to discuss Charlie Kirk shooting, specifically what Candace Owens has to say. I'm also going to cover how NATO is about to go to war with Russia. Russia already claims they're in war. This as Russia has sent drones into more airspace that's violating some treaties that exist out there. Wild time to be alive. These stories coming up next.